शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादीनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम् पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। ब्रह्माहं यत्प्रसादेन मयि विश्वं प्रकल्पितम् श्रीमत्स्वयं प्रकाशाख्यं प्रणौमि जगद्गुरुम्। यः परमात्मा जगत्सृष्ट्वा प्रविवेश पुनः स्वयं तं कृष्णं प्रत्यगात्मानं वन्दे गोपी मनोहरम्। यस्य प्रसादादहमद्वयात्मा विश्वं समस्तं मयि कल्पितं च तं सर्वलोकैकगुरुं सदाश्री स्वयं प्रकाशं गुरुमानतोऽस्मि। गुरूणां चरणां भोजं प्रणिपत्य निरन्तरं तत्कृपालेशतो द्वैत चिन्ताकौस्तुभमारभे। Well, today according to the Hindu calendar, it is Akshaya Tritiya, a day extremely auspicious by the astrological standards, and it is said that whatever one does today, whatever good punya that one does today, then gives Akshaya Phalam, meaning that it becomes something that is inexhaustible. To say that it has a long-lasting effect. And therefore it is said that anything that is auspicious should begin today. And so it gives Akshaya Phalam. Really speaking, it is Brahma Vidya alone, this knowledge of Brahman alone, which has Akshaya Phalam, undiminishing, fruit result. Rest all will have their, the punya will have its limited result, but it is only Brahma Vidya which has Akshaya Pilam, because moksha swabhavataha by nature is Akshaya, undiminishing, inexhaustible. Hence, this is, and anything, even the little dana, that whatever one gives to the teacher or to a learned person or learned Brahmin or a Sadachari, a Brahmin who is living by, the abiding by his dharma as a Brahmin, etc., should be done today by all the householders. And so it is good. Another very important event which takes place here in the Char Dham, in the four shrines of Himalayas, is that the doors of Badrinath are cast open to all from today. 6 months of the year, the temple remains closed because it is under snow and ice. The snow and thing is over 10 feet. Closing the doors, it is impossible to open the doors of the temple with that kind of snow and ice in front of it. So 6 months it remains closed. And those 6 months are given to the celestial beings to worship Bhagavan Badrinarayana. And now the next 6 months, beginning from today, are given to the human beings to do their worship and have the darshan of Narayana seated over there. So thus we have this particular day which opens the doors of the shrines of the Himalayas. Now let us turn to our topic. So it is said that this Hiranyagarbha and Vaishwanara are not different entities, but Ishvara himself. But Ishvara himself. How do you say that it is Ishvara? Now, Ishvara is the one consciousness with the conditioning of total causal body is called as Ishvara. Samashti Karana Deha. So the Upadhi, the conditioning is of total causal body. From this total causal body arises the total subtle body. Now, consciousness with the conditioning of total causality plus the total subtlety is called as Hiranyagarbha. Then consciousness with the total causality plus the total subtlety plus the total gross body. Total gross body. So whatever is gross, Panchikata Panchamahabhutas. Now this total world, the physical world, is the body. And with this conditioning, the consciousness is called as Vaishwanara. Now there are different meditations. Meditating upon Ishvara as Vaishwanara, meditating on Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara as Hiranyagarbha. Now, these upasanas, these forms of meditation means it is just not one meditation, one session of meditation or not. No, it continues as a committed practice till one reaches its finality, its culmination its summit is reached. And that summit is, now that the results are mentioned over there, that one will discover his oneness with Vaishwanara and Hiranyagarbha. Thus, such a seeker becomes capable of Kramamukti. He becomes capable of attaining the status of Hiranyagarbha and ultimately becomes free. So ultimately, in the sense, it means eventually. Eventually, what is that? What is that? What do they call sequence of events? That's another topic. But eventually becomes gets liberated. So there is Krama Mukti, which is the result of this Hiranyagarbha Upasana. Now we have to dwell upon and analyze what exactly is this Hiranyagarbha. So the author has brought or has opened this topic for us to discuss, to understand, so that, and how does he open that topic is with a question. Now the question is not what is Hiranyagarbha, because we already know what is Hiranyagarbha, what is Vaishwanara. Do not take these words very lightly, because now you have definitions to these words, and definitions means it has a, a certain meaning. It has a certain meaning. Therefore, do not become, like, this, what do they call, space cadet. What is it? No, the definitions have been well thrashed out, and hence now we have a certain meaning to those words. And so you are not dealing with just, words which are floating up over there, but you are well grounded with its meaning. Now, so, where is it gone? Now the question was, this Hiranyagarbha seems to be, though it is the total consciousness conditioned with total subtlety, or the total subtle body, is called as Hiranyagarbha. Samashti, Sukshma, the Sharira Upadhi is there, and with this, the consciousness is called as Hiranyagarbha. All right. Now, when the conditionings are different, there is a possibility of understanding different entities. For example, with this particular conditioning, the consciousness that I am is called as Abhishek Chaitanya, Abhishek Chaitanya, Swamiji will say. With that particular conditioning, that gross body, etc., that I is called as Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so. So the names are going to be different. Thus, we have different entities, and this I now is treated as different entities. Similarly, Ishvara is the one with the conditioning. What is the conditioning to the consciousness of the total causal body? What is Hiranyagarbha? With the conditioning of total subtle body. And therefore, it appears that there is one entity, Ishvara, another entity, Hiranyagarbha, the third entity called as Vaishwanara. So, are they three different, or is it one Ishvara alone? That was the question. So, that question was raised And it was also explained as yes, that there is a reason for the Purva Paksha, for the opponent, to question like this, because he discovers somewhere in the Shruti that this Hiranyagarbha and Vaishwanara then are said to be having some fear, etc. Oh, now that makes us think it cannot be Ishvara. So this kind of statements are going to provide the fuel for the opponent, for the Purva Paksha, to think that Hiranyagarbha is different from Ishvara. Vaishwanara is different from Ishvara. Now, so now the teacher took up this task of explaining it is one Paramatma alone expressing as all these three. It is one God alone expressing as all these three. So he said, but we are not able to somehow reconcile how to reconcile these sentences wherein it is said that this Hiranyagarbha had some fear, bhayam, etc. Bhayam, fear, etc. How to reconcile those kind of statements? So actually, the teacher then has said, or we have to know when a sentence is spoken, what is the purpose of the sentence? If the father is very angry with the son or the daughter, that he may say, "You silly donkey." He is angry at his son. So when he is saying that, you're a donkey, gada. Now over there, when he says so, he does not mean to say that you are an animal with four legs and you should be, instead of sending you to a school, we should send you to a zoo. That is not what he means. What he means is that don't be foolish. Don't be foolish. That is what the father has to say. So over here, now because of the purpose, the meaning gets altered. Okay? Because of the purpose, the meaning gets altered. Similarly over here, because this is how we understand sentences. This is how we understand sentences. When the father is saying you are a donkey, hey, it does not mean that instead of bringing a human child home from the hospital when his mother was over there in the maternity ward, he brought some donkey with him. No, it simply has the purpose is that foolish. You don't, and in fact, even he does not mean to say you're foolish. He means to say, don't be foolish. That's all. God has to. Are you? No, no. That is the purpose. And when you understand the purpose, now those very same words will alter their meaning, and and will be able to give you what is meant by that sentence. Huh? Because we are dealing with sentences over here. This is Mimamsa. This Mimamsa is the Mimamsa, the analysis of the sentences only. Mhm. The whole thing effort we are putting in is only to hold the meaning of those sentences, because over here Brahman is going to be revealed by the sentences of the Upanishad through these, and therefore we are putting in. This is not something, some Swamiji is going to deliver some special experiences or anything. Experience you all have in plenty. So this is actually meant so that you will have a clear understanding about the Shruti Vakya of the statements of the Shruti. So the purpose of those sentences which have now meant, which have said that there was the Hiranyagarbha got scared, etc., is not so that you not so that you can understand that Hiranyagarbha is not Ishvara. Over here, this the meaning of this sentence, the purpose of this sentence, the prayojanam is vairagyartham. What is the purpose? In order to generate dispassion. In order to generate dispassion. And that dispassion ensures now nothing else other than knowing the self as Brahman is wanted by you. What does that dispassion mean? Nothing other than simply knowing Atma is Brahman is ever wanted by you. Even the experience that one wants to find that he is everything, every tree, every bird, every worm, all the beings, celestial and humans and everything I am. And that is what he wants to experience. Even all these experiences also still mean that somewhere one is wanting to retain the status of an experiencer. But this I is not an experiencer. This I is beyond all these statuses. Is beyond all these statuses. And therefore, when one will be able to give up the demand to experience anything, whether you want to experience by, the simple ice cream, or you want to have an experience that I am Vaishwanara, Hiranyagarbha, etc. Till then, one is truly not ready to know Atma is Brahman. And therefore, when there is vairagyam towards all such demands, when there is dispassion, which means all these demands have been scrapped, and thus one paves his royal path to Brahmajnanam. And therefore, vairagyartham tat pratipadanam. Hey, the purpose is not to say Hiranyagarbha is not Ishvara. What is the purpose? The purpose is to have vairagyam. Okay. Okay. Tathahi on 101. Shrutyadivi tayoho janmadishu Paditeshu tatra api doshadarshanena vairagyam utpatyate iti tat pratipadanam. And therefore, by saying that Hiranyagarbha was born, Vaishwanara is born, etc., these Shrutis are showing doshadarshanena tatrapi, even over there, this is not the ultimate reality of the self. And therefore, you may experience it, yet, and that experience is also, do not consider that to be something ordinary. Do not consider that to be something ordinary. Though it is an extraordinary divine experience, yet all these experiences also do not mean Atma is Brahman, and therefore one is yet not liberated. And therefore, in order to have that dispassion towards all these things, now the Shruti has spoken as Hiranyagarbha being born, Hiranyagarbha having fear, etc. Okay, so it is not meant to say Hiranyagarbha is not Ishvara. Okay, न तावता तयोर्जीवत्वं तथात्वे ईश्वरस्यापि तथात्व प्रसंगात्. Okay, and thus, just because you have found that there are certain qualities which can become a characteristic only of Jiva, there are these characteristics, qualities which will become the characteristics of a Jiva, and therefore Hiranyagarbha is not Ishvara but Jiva. If you are going to say so, then by the virtue of this very logic, now pay attention, by the virtue of this very logic, you will be you will even say Ishvara is also a Jiva. And that will become a horrible thing. It is a mess. Why? Why, sir? Because that Ishvara does the austerity. Now, who can do austerity? Jiva. Now, Ishvara had doing austerity. What is that austerity? And yes, sarvashnya sarvavedyasya jnanamayam tapaha. All these things, or even where the Ishvara desires to become many, all this, all these Shrutis then will also reduce Ishvara by that virtue. You desire, having a desire, or doing the austerity will make you say that Ishvara is also Jiva. न तावता तयोर्जीवत्वं तथात्वे ईश्वरस्यापि तथात्व प्रसंगात्. ईश्वरस्यापि तथात्व तथात्वम means जीवत्व प्रसंगात्. तस्यापि कामनादि श्रवणात्, because over here that we hear from the Shruti that Ishvara desired to become everything. No, desiring, such desiring. So it is not to say that Ishvara desires, it is meant to say Ishvara is everything. You understand that whole idea? There is nothing other than Ishvara. That is what is the purpose of that sentence. When it is said Ishvara desires to become everything. So it means Ishvara is everything. So thus tasyapi kamanadi shravanat, kamanadehe jivalingatvat, because having a desire, etc., then can be said as only to be a characteristic of jiva. Therefore, jiva lingatvat, because it can be an indication of jiva hood alone. Thus, therefore, so you cannot use just that, because it is said that Hiranyagarbha was born, etc., or Hiranyagarbha has fear. He is not meant to say Hiranyagarbha is a Jiva. Be very clear. It is Ishvara only. Yes, Sarvajna, that you have done that. Now he goes to say that, yes, it is Ishvara alone as Hiranyagarbha. How? Jnanam pratikam yasya vairagyam ch jagatpate. there should be, I think, from where it is, we have to just look at this sentence from where has it come. Otherwise, it should be Jagat Patehe. There should be a Visarga. There should be an aspirate behind Jagat Patehe. Aishwaryam cha dharmascha sahasiddham chatushtayam. And if it is not, then it will go as sambuddhi, as sambodhanam, as a vocative case. Then perhaps this sentence could be from Mahabharata or anything. It has been culled out where the teacher is talking to a king and addressing him as the owner of this whole world, Jagatpati, master of this world. If it is not, then the Jagatpatehe will become Shashti Vibhakti and it will go with Yasya of this Jagatpati, and over here it really means Jagatpati, the master of this of all the world, is Parmeshwara. Tasya Parmeshwarasya Jnanam Apratikam. The knowledge is boundless. Is boundless. It cannot be struck. That knowledge cannot be struck down, and therefore Apratikam. Jnanam apratikam yasya vairagyam. Even the vairagyam is also apratikam. Aishwaryam cha dharmascha. This Aishwarya, the splendor, his power is also unstruck. Dharmascha, even dharma, is sasiddham chatushtayam. All these four things are self sahasiddham, are simultaneously proven. Okay, sahasiddham chatushtayam. It is smritya, so it is definitely a smriti. Sutratma Vaishwanarayoho Pratihata Swatah Siddha Niratishaya Jnana Aishwaryadi Shakti Avagamat Janmadi Pratipadanasya Vairagyarthatvacha Na Jivatvam. Now he is concluding this topic. Meaning whatever was initiated, should they be considered as Ishvara or is it something different? If this topic is getting concluded in this sentence. Okay. So Swatasid Pratihata Sutratma and Sutratma Vaishwanarayogo, the knowledge, the dispassion, the splendor, the power, and the dharma, all these four things, how are they? Niratishaya, boundless. There is no boundary to it. We all have vairagya. Say, suppose you are going to find 10 rupees fallen on the floor. You will say, oh, that is not mine. Let us put it in the temple box. Then 100 rupees note. You may say, okay, that's fine, but put it in the temple box. 500 rupees note. Okay, that belongs to God. Let us put it there. And then suddenly you discover there is a big bundle of 2000 rupees notes. Perhaps it is a bundle of 1 lakh rupees. Now this person will he say that let us put that bundle in the donation box of the temple? He will say, looks like God has gifted me this. Looks like God has gifted me this. Finished. The Vairagyam has drawn its boundary. Till 2000 rupees, there was Vairagyam. And then after it is the Vairagyam has finished. The dispassion is over. So there is a boundary to it. But here, the Vairagyam, because everything belongs to me, there is no other contender. Then why will I want you to have even that sense of ownership and wanting to have it? I have what? Everything is me alone. Then why will there be even this demand that it should belong to me and me alone? No, nothing. And therefore, the dispassion is also boundless in them. And therefore, iti avagamat, we have understood Janmadi Pratipadanasya. So even when the Shrutis speak about the birth of Hiranyagarbha, etc., it is not meant to say it is Jiva. It is meant for what? To say that that Hiranyagarbha is a Jiva. It is not meant to say Hiranyagarbha is a Jiva. Vairagyartha, Vairagyarthatvacha. It is meant to generate Vairagyam in the listener. Iti na jivatvam. So it's not the jiva. Then what? Parisheshyat. If not jiva, the other one is only Ishvara. And therefore is Ishvara alone. Yuktam cha eta. Thus, this all is not divorced from a rational system of logic in understanding that sentence. Okay? In fact, we are not just understanding one sentence, we are understanding the whole topic. That whole topic is being developed or is brought to us by the sentences of the Shruti. And therefore, now these sentences have been analyzed and we understand Ekameva Paramatma. This one Paramatma alone now appears as Hiranyagarbha and Vaishvanar. Yatha jivasya natmashrutehe nityatvacha tabhyaha iti nyayena janmadiya bhave nishchitepi charachara vyapashrayastu syat tad vyapadesho bhaktaha tad bhavamavitatvad iti nyayena aupadikatva aupadikatvam utpatti vinashatvancha. An example. First understand the example, then we shift ourselves to the point that is brought by the example. The example is in case of the jiva. In case of the jiva, what is it? Even this jiva does not have any birth or death. Is free from birth and death. So the jiva is free from birth and death. But acquiring a body and therefore the birth of the body is then said as to be the birth of the jiva. So with the conditioning of the body being born, now that which is conditioned also appears as having birth. And therefore, this is my birthday, I was born this particular day. Very good, no? What very good. I was born on Akshay Tritiya. Which means that you will continue to be born always. And having endless number of births means what? Baba, it means that continuity of samsara. Therefore, don't get into that. So Jiva actually does not have a birth. There is birth to the body, But body, with this conditioning of the body, now even the condition appears to be born. Janmadya bhave nishchite. Now you have a certain knowledge that there is no birth to jiva. Yet the jiva appears, I appear to have been born, is because of what? Aupadhikatva utpatti vinashatvancha. It is only conditional birth and conditional death. What is it? Conditional birth and conditional death. What is the condition? The body being born, the body being destroyed. So the birth and destruction of the body then is associated with the self, and then the jiva is said to be born and dead. So, but then don't forget, it is aupadikam, conditional. What is it? It is conditional. But how did you understand this? What has allowed you to understand this? He says it is through the Brahma Sutra. What is the Sutra? Chara vyapashrayastu syat tadvyapadesho bhaktastadbhava bhavitatvad iti. This is that Nyaya from Brahma Sutra. This is the Sutra from where we have access to this understanding. Nyayena. So what have you understood? That the jiva is birthless and deathless, yet it is through the association of the conditioning there is birth and death, and therefore birth and death of the jiva is conditional birth and death. Okay? Understood? If you have understood this principle, then now we can proceed. So this principle is a common ground. This is Drishtanta. Now he is going to take you to something that he wants you to understand. So this is the base. From there, Tatha. So if Yatha is understood, now Tatha is also, you will have easy access. What is it? Tatha asambhavastu sakonupapatteriti nyayena न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चिदाकाशवत् सर्वगतश्च नित्यः इत्यादि श्रुत्या जन्माद्या भावे निश्चितेऽपि समष्टि स्थूल सूक्ष्मोपाधि प्रयुक्तम् उत्पत्त्यादि ईश्वरस्यापि अस्तु हिरण्यगर्भादि रूपेण. Nice. So in the first point was concluded that it is Ishvara alone, Parisheshya. Huh? But how can this Ishvara have birth and death? How can this Ishvara have birth and death? What is wrong? Just as in case of Jiva who does not have birth and death, you are able to say has birth and death. Why wouldn't Ishvara, who also is free from birth and death, have birth and death, which is conditional? And when Ishvara is seen to be having birth and death, what is the form? Hiranyagarbha, etc. Okay. So now when you are going to say Mr. So and so died, this Jiva died. It died means what? What died? Who died? So it is the what died means the body only has perished. What else has perished? Yet conditional, due to the presence of that conditioning, appears to be born and dead. Like that, over here also, this Ishvara, though is free from birth and death, yet appears, because now that Sthula, Samashti, Sthula Sharira and Samashti Sukshma Sharira is born, the total gross body and the total subtle body is born. Therefore, with the totality of subtlety and the totality of this grossness is something that gets generated and is destroyed, is dissolved. With these conditionings, Ishvara is also said to having had birth and having had destruction. How? As Hiranyagarbha. So it is Ishvara alone, though free, yet there is nothing like that, conditional. Okay. Janmadya bhave nishchitepi samashti sthula sthula sukshmo upadhi prayuktam उत्पत्त्यादि ईश्वरस्यापि astu hiranyagarbhadi rupeణ. How did you understand that? Through the Shruti Vakyas. So those are quoted. I'm not going to take you through those quoted Pramana Vakyas, but sometimes this exercise is extremely helpful to go through every quoted sentence, look at its source from which Upanishad, Smriti, Shruti, Purana it has been brought from, and then that every sentence is then, like shredded to its threads, and that kind of exercise is kind of little advanced, and therefore in order for a person to give all his time, energy, intelligence only for this, which means pursuit of knowledge, is then the work that a person can do only if he is not bound by any other things to be done. And therefore, sarva karma parityaga purvakam, therefore, sarva karma sannyasa purvakadeva shravanam kuryat. This is the reason why now, even for the pursuit of knowledge, sarva karma sannyasa is required. Now, you see, the whole energy, it has to be, the whole intelligence has to be consumed over here. You're going to say, oh, I'm going to be only 1 hour, and it will not suffice, because you are going to find out that, well, this is still an area which needs penetration. And as much as you penetrate into it, the clarity keeps expanding. More clarity, clean, and that doubtless knowledge then is what we call as knowledge, which will destroy avidya. But one will have to go through this rigorous rigmarole. Have to. Otherwise, you're just doing what? If not Brahmachintanam, if not Shastra Chintanam, what will this person do? Vishaya Chintanam. Well, there is no other choice. Will do Vishaya Chintanam. And therefore, the Shastra Chintanam, for that reason, there is Sarva Karma Sannyas. Oh well. Now we will stop over here. But I will give you a little hint of what is going to be the next thing. Now he says, well, then let that also be, then let that be called, even that Ishvara. Why are you hesitant on just keeping him as Ishvara? Let us call this Ishvara also a special kind of Jiva who is more powerful, who also has birth and death. Eh? You understand where are we going? Where is he taking? That opponent will take you. Call him as Jiva, and you have given a special name, a different name to this Jiva. Call him Ishvara. And even some people have done that. Purusha Vishesha Ishvara. We find it, that's why that is not acceptable. So Ishvara, sitting on top, more powerful. And that's why you will find in a lot of other religious texts and all, you find that, you really cannot say, can this be Ishvara? Because this Ishvara is displaying everything which is Anaishwaryam. He's jealous. He's jealous. You are worshipping other gods and not worshipping me. You should be worshipping and believing only in me. And whatever he may believe as God is you alone, because other than you, which else God is there? But he is jealous. And then the jealous God tells that those who are worshipping anything else other than your concept of God, he, that fellow, should be either change his mind, and if he does not change his mind, send him out of the world. This is what happens. So you see that he is seen as an ordinary jiva, jealous, insecure, constantly demanding attention. Hey, what is that? So now, sir, so they have reduced that Ishvara to a jiva. So now the opponent also over here says that, well, hey, if you are going to say Hiranyagarbhadi Rupena Ishvaraha Chayate, that Ishvara is born as Hiranyagarbha, etc., then by that virtue, we are going to say he is a special, powerful Jiva called as Ishvara. That's just different name, but powerful Jiva, powerful than you and me. Huh? He says, oh, over there, just because of this conditional birth and death, you cannot call Ishvara as Jiva. Why? 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 That reason we will see tomorrow. Brahmaham yat prasadena Mai Vishwam Prakalpitam Srimad Swayam Prakashakyam Pranavami Jagatam Gurum Yah Paramatma Jagat Srishtva Pravivesha Punaswayam Tang Krishnam Pratyagatmanam Vande Gopi Manogaram Yasya Prasadadhamadvayatma Vishwam samastam mayi kalpitancha tan sarva lokaika gurum sadashri swayam prakasham gurumanatosmi gurunam charanam bhojam pranipatya nirantaram tatripaleshato dvaita chintahataustu mamarabhe पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं पादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Om. Om. Thank you, friends, and happy Akshaya Tritiya. Do something good, do your puja, and whatever, do some dan, dakshina, to find out, at least go and feed a cow. And if you're not doing puja at home, go to a temple, some Shiva temple, and at least pour a drop of water on the Shivalinga. Do something. All right. Thank you very much. Happy Akshaya Tritiya. Well, this evening we have a special class from 5:30 to 6:30, and it is actually Swami Chidananji is coming to stay with us for a day. He should be coming this afternoon, and then we will have a lecture from him in the evening, 5:30 to 6:30. The link, etc., Aradhana has already sent. So kindly follow and come for the evening class, special one, a different one. You will, get tired of looking at the same person all the time. So we will have Chidananji address us this evening. Pass that information to your friends, etc. It would be wonderful for other people to join this session too. Thank you very much.